49 years old, and I'm trying to sell myself right now on living my full passion, which is to spend all my time on VeeFriends.
All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Cards and Content. Special episode today. No real other way to put it. This is really a full circle type moment for me. Today's guest will be none other than Gary V. And that is for sure, without a doubt, the one thing on my mind today. We were fortunate enough to be able to run an event last Saturday at the shop with Gary and his team during the release week of VeeFriends Chrome. So Tyler, Jay, Courtney, Bobby, Adam, Gary. And, you know, besides that event, again, I posted this on Instagram and I talked about it there, but, you know, such a special moment for me. Again, if you followed the journey from, you know, my IG days to early YouTube, I've talked a lot about Gary and like what he's meant to me and like what he's meant, you know, along the journey for me. I used to work at a corporate job, I did some grant work at a school, and when I would sit there, I'd have two computer screens up. There's an Instagram post from back in the day from like 2017, but it's me at a computer screen, and there's like, I had two screens. One is Gary and his content, Daily V, that kind of stuff. And then the other one was just data work, just data entry. And I sat at that computer at a job I didn't really like, just wasn't fulfilled, wasn't happy. And I got to watch Gary's content while I worked. Just, again, a lot of manual data entry. And I credit Gary with a lot of, you know, the way life turned out. It was the motivation I needed to quit my job and pursue this. I was real big into his message, you know, one life, no regrets. Don't want to regret it at 90. You're young. If you know, mess up, you know, if it doesn't work out, if, you know, you can't turn your dream into something, you know, you're still young, still got plenty of time ahead. And I took that chance, quit my job right after I was married in 2018 to my lovely wife, and haven't looked back since. And I know I would not be here today without that content. Sounds, you know, cliche. I totally get it. Motivation works different for everyone, but without a doubt, it changed the direction of my life. So to be able to, you know, after watching that content for so long and consuming it daily, and, you know, watching Tyler and Lou, guys I ended up, you know, joining a podcast with, you know, Gary and that team, just to be able to do that years later, and then to have a relationship with Gary now, to have him at our store, right? That dream, you know, my dream was to own a card store. It happened a little bit younger than I anticipated, but to have that card store and to have Gary show up at that card store for an event with us, and then to come on the podcast, which he will do later. Grateful. I mean, I not sure I could quite put it into words. I posted a little bit about it. Pretty heartfelt post, you know, to Gary and his team for that, but really a special last weekend and something I am eternally grateful for. It was really, really cool. You know, I'm not really one to, you know, kind of stop and smell the roses, but that was one to just kind of look at and be like, man, this is, if you asked me 10 years ago, would I thought this would ever happen, I would have laughed. And to sit here and to have Gary, just, you know, a lot of cool card stores and, you know, the world he could have gone to for an event like that. And, you know, to be able to partner with him on it, have him on the pod, just something I don't take for granted. So it was really, really cool. Definitely a special moment. So definitely the one thing on my mind today would just be a huge thank you to Gary for coming out to little old Grove City, Ohio for that event. Event was a lot of fun. Got to meet a lot of people in the VeeFriends community. Obviously, I hadn't spent a ton of time on it prior to that. I was, you know, around with the podcast when VeeFriends Series 1 dropped back in the day. I know those are huge. Those are insane. So I got to see a little bit of that. I got to rip a box with Gary in New York in the office. Again, just another cool moment. But man, some real hardcore collectors. Got to meet some really good people, very, very kind. Some folks I had met for the first time. So really fun event at the shop. But I'll save some more of that for later. Again, we've got the pod or the interview with Gary on the pod later, so I'll move on to that, or I'll move on from that. We've got a couple talking points here before we get into that interview. Interview went over 30 minutes, so don't want to bore everybody too much here beforehand. A couple other things in my mind. We talked about it with Gary, and you'll hear it on the podcast, but Knicks Celtics series has turned into something. Cavs get beat 4-1. To say I'm surprised by the way that, the East especially has turned out in the basketball playoffs has been crazy. I think a lot about from a card perspective. I think if we would have sat here a month ago, 6 weeks ago, and said, if you would have asked most people who's going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals, Celtics Cavs would have been, I can't imagine it wasn't the clear answer. I'm sure you had somebody in Indiana telling you differently and somebody in New York telling you differently, but I would have guessed if you would have polled the general public who would be in the Eastern Conference Finals or who was going to go to the finals, there's probably 3 pretty concise answers. It was probably Thunder, Cavs, Celtics. I'm going to assume solely based on records. Obviously, Tatum with the Achilles sucks. That's rough. That has derailed some careers, and Tatum is a guy I was really, really high on early on, and I think he's one of the best players in the league. I know he gets a lot of hate because he's can be a little corny sometimes. I've seen the memes, but awesome basketball player. So to potentially, at this point when we're recording this, it's still 3-2. Celtics just won game 5. So Knicks, Pacers potentially. Again, Celtics could come back, I guess. But let's play this out. Let's say the Celtics end up losing the series. You got Knicks. The Thunder series is 3-2 now. So let's say that all the current teams win the series. You'd have Thunder, Timberwolves, and then you would have Pacers and Knicks. The idea that, and this is what I love. I love doing this with football, but this idea that, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Halliburton, Shea/Chet, or Anthony Edwards, one of those guys would win a title. I love that for the card market. I'm big on this in football with this idea that, I love seeing Mahomes win, in football, you want the GOATs to get theirs. I would love to see Connor McDavid win a cup. I would love to go. I would love to be at a cup game when Connor McDavid wins a cup. That's like a dream trip. I would love to do that, to see the GOATs win. But when one of these young guys, these cards now, these are a lot of times financial, these are assets. These are alternative assets. This is, people view this as art, as collectibles, as investment pieces, whatever we want to call it. Whether this is your sports betting, we can go into a lot of different ways about the business side of cards. But some of these guys have major, major sales. Chet, Shea, Ant-Man, Halliburton, Brunson. We're not talking small amounts of money. Brian's got up some stuff right now. The Chet Logo Man 101 auto sold a year ago in March on Fanatics for $144,000. We're not talking pocket change. These are major, major sales. The Optic Gold Vinyl Chet sold in December of 2023 on Golden for $31,000. Big cards. So I think what is nice to see as a card collector is some of those guys, you see the guys like Tatum, you get injured, and you're like, he might never be the same. That could really affect his long-term card market. And then you see it the other way, we're Tyrese Halliburton could win a ring. Anthony Edwards could win a ring. Those are star basketball players, and the idea that they could win a ring to help solidify some of their market, whether that market stays forever. Obviously, we see that, post Super Bowl cards dip, right? Hey, they kind of got to where that price is built in. That's always been the discussion, is that potentially there's, and I would argue there's winning built into some of these prices, right? That the idea that okay, well, Ant-Man's gonna be good, so we might as well just pay for that now, because what other reason would you buy a Logo Man auto for $100,000+? You're assuming he's going to be an amazing basketball player. So to see him be that amazing basketball player and win the title, again, it's a good thing to see, especially in the market. It's somebody else winning. I look at it as kind of like a passing the torch moment. For so long we've had, Curry and LeBron, have won most titles. You got one for the Celtics. You got, Jokic. You've got a few others, but it's LeBron's won a bunch of rings. Curry's won a bunch of rings. same thing in football. Like, it was Brady for so long, and then it's Mahomes, and it's like, it's good to see some of those other guys win. So I'm hoping that's what we end up getting. I mean, I grew up a Patriots fan, so I would love to see Boston win, but Boston just winning last year. Give me Knicks, Pacers, Thunder, Timberwolves. Let one of those young superstars in the league win a title. I actually think I'm going to be more interested in seeing who wins, especially post-Tatum injury. That's definitely who I would have rooted for. So, going to be interesting to watch it. I'd be curious from you guys on who who do you want to win? Or maybe a better question, who do you think needs it the most? Whose card values do you see and you say, this person needs to win the most? I would probably make the argument it's Shea or Ant-Man. I would probably lean that way because I would imagine those guys have the biggest, most recent sales. Halliburton, I don't think is going to sell compared to what like a Shea or an Ant-Man. I mean, Brian just had the Ant-Man logo man up from like Immaculate. Brian, what was that Ant-Man you just had up? It was like $400,000, $446. Yeah, golden, 2022. Flawless logo man Ant-Man did $426,000. I mean, $500,000. It's a house. So big time sale on a card like that. We're looking up Shea now. The National Treasure Shea logo man did $228,000 in March. Search Halliburton. Let's see what we get for Halliburton. All right, so Halliburton sales here. Biggest sale ever for Tyrese Halliburton was last year in May. It was a triple, but it also had Ant-Man on it. Melo, Halliburton, Ant-Man. $99,000 sold on Fanatics on auction. And then his NT. Brian, you know what's crazy? You know what this just made me think of? Complete side note. Do you remember when the Flawless Logo Man triple with LeBron was a thing? The one that Backyard ended up pulling. It was like one of the biggest modern day cards, I would argue, probably till the Paul Skeens debut patch auto. But when that was a big deal, we were in Miami for F1 with the Card Talk guys. Is that it? Did it really sell? Oh, God. That's insane. This is like a revelation, like, on this show. This is insane. I swear to you, this was not planned. We did a giveaway stream with Whatnot at the F1 race in Miami. We were in the Airbnb, and we had a box of Flawless to rip and give away every single card live on the stream. And we were chasing the 101 logo man. Those boxes were insane at the time. The hype around that card was huge. I mean, they were giving away a Lamborghini if it was pulled on Whatnot, and Backyard hit it because we were there that weekend when the card got hit. We actually hit out of that box. We hit a Tyrese Halliburton Platinum 1-of-1 logo patch auto. The post is on my Instagram story. I believe there's still a video about it. Like, it was on camera. We filmed it. We hit that card. At the time, you're like, oh, this is cool. Like, it's not necessarily the player you wanted at the time, but Halliburton was the guy, right? Out in Sacramento. You're like, this guy could be the real deal. It got graded. I didn't know this. It got graded. It got a BGS 9510 gem, and it sold on Fanatics Premiere last July, right before the National, for $30,000. We gave it away for free. Somebody won that card for free. Absolutely insane. I don't want to go too off tangent. This is a longer episode, but cool moment. But that still would bring me to the point that I still think Ant-Man or Shea need it the most, just with where their prices are compared to a guy like Brunson or a guy like Halliburton. I just don't think you're going to get those top end sales. Brunson's probably close. I'm going to guess Halliburton is the least of the three. He's a dog, man. He's got some crazy playoff games so far. Brunson's biggest sale so far, according to Card Ladder, is a Nebula Choice Prism sold in Golden in November for $96,000. The NT Logo Man sold in December. He's got some big recent sales, $80,000 for the NT Logo Man. So definitely those are respectable sales for Jalen Brunson, man. He is a baller. I've watched more basketball in the last 14 days than I have in the last 6 months. But man, it's been a lot of fun. So drop those comments. Let me know, who do you guys think needs this title the most? Let me know about that. Big thing coming up for us. Again, we've got a couple events. I like to just use these moments to talk about kind of like what we're doing and some of the behind the scenes and kind of what goes into this. A few things. I'm going to start with one that's a little bit quicker, just to give some people some context and put something on the map. We are doing something really, really cool here very soon. Our friends at Hobby Box. They're on IG. They're on Whatnot. Good people. We've known them for a little while. They're great people. There's one in Florida, one in New York, and they are bringing Chase Brown to the shop for a trade night in Columbus, in Grove City, at our shop the last day of May. May 31st. It's a Saturday, 5:30 to 8:30. We will have a big time trade night at the shop. Collectors, traders, dealers, you name it. We'll have a lot of stuff going on. We'll bring in some free food. You guys know the deal there. We'll have plenty of cool giveaways. Hopefully we'll talk to some of the companies we work with, get some cool stuff to give away. I'm sure our shop team will come up with some cool stuff. But Chase Brown is going to be there. He's going to be there a little bit later in trade night. Trade night's going to run from 5:30 to 8:30 that day at the shop. And then Chase Brown will be joining us live at the shop. And he is going to be there. It's going to be sign-in, some autographs, hanging out, ripping packs. But Bengals starting running back Chase Brown is coming to Columbus, to Grove City, Ohio, to Card Collects, to Sports Cards. Probably one of the, if not the biggest athlete we've had in shop so far. So grateful for our friends at Hobby Box for, making this happen. We'll do a little live stream not a little live stream. We'll do a big time live stream on Whatnot after the trade night as well. Go live with those guys. Go live with Chase Brown. Auction some cards. Likely get some inscriptions. Give some cool stuff away. So looking forward to that. Definitely an eventful month of May. We started in Atlanta for the Topps Conference. Ended up in Dallas. Shop anniversary. Grove City Card Fest. GaryVee. Mother's Day. Shout out Reg. And then you get to... we're going to Shipshawana. I'll get to that in 2 seconds. And then you end the month with a Chase Brown Hobby Box trade night live stream, massive event, last day of the month. So May has definitely been has given us a run for its money. But the other point on that, again, was Shipshawana. Shipshawana Part 2. This is a show Brad and I have been working on together for a while now. We ran the first one earlier this year. What was that, Brian? End of February, early March, I think. I know it wasn't the end of March. It wasn't during March Madness. Was it? Was it March, April, or... See, this is how crazy it is around here. End of February. That's what I thought. Because it was right before... It was right the last day of one month, first day of another month. Because when we had to advertise the dates, it was like end of February and early March. So February 28th and March 1st. But this time, a lot easier. Memorial Day weekend. This is really one of the highlights of the year for us from a show perspective. One of our top 5 shows of the year, no question. Memorial Day in Shipshawana is packed. By the time this episode drops, it'll be this weekend. Friday, May 23rd, Saturday, May 24th. Brad and I have been working on improving this one since we ran the first one in the new venue last time. We've added over 20,000 square feet. We're over 75,000 square feet now. Continuing to bring in some cool corporate partners. Shout out to our friends at Check Out My Cards. I know we've mentioned them a few times on this podcast for different different segments and different discussions. They were coming out from Washington to join us in Shipshawana, Indiana. That's not an easy trek, so excited to have them at the show for the first time ever. Our friends at Zion Case is coming back. Some amazing vendors. I talk about that. That's really what makes that show what it is. Our friends at Ludex running Trade Night 1 on Sneak Peek Night, 8 to 10. This is something we've been working on for a while, and I'm really excited for it. We've now gotten over 450 vendor tables in that 75,000 square feet. 13 or 14,000 of that square feet or in addition to that, I don't know if I have to check with Brad, but there's like 13 or 14,000 square feet for trade night itself. Going to be absolutely epic. It's one of the best card shows in the Midwest, working on becoming one of the best card shows in the country, and it is in Shipshawana, Indiana. So if you've never been, come check it out. Friday the 23rd, we'll run VIPs. There's a couple VIP passes left. You can go to cardvestevents.com to grab that, but that's going to get you in at 3 on Friday. Normal show hours are from 4 to 8. So if you want to get in an hour early on both days, you can, but that gets you in at 3 o'clock on Friday. Goes till 8 to 10. Ludex is providing trade night at the venue. Same venue, don't even have to leave. It's right there, 8 to 10. And then the next day, I have to check with Brad. I think it's, Brian, you want to check this out? I don't even know the hours. Is it 8 to 9 get in? I think it's 8 to 9. It might be 8:30 to 9:30, but I'll double check the hours with Brad. I want to triple check that. Brian's pulling it up now. I'm trying to stall. This is the tricky part. Is it 8 to 9? Yeah, 9. So 9 to 4. So is normal showers on Saturday, which means VIP gets you in at 8. So you get an 8 o'clock on Saturday. Kids get in free all weekend. Free admission, hands down, on Saturday. 75,000 square feet, 450 plus tables. It's going to be a good one. So if you're in the area, come check it out. All right, we've been talking for a little while on this one. I want to kick it over to the interview. This is I've got a few other things I want to talk about, but I don't know if we're going to get to them today. So hopefully we'll get them next week with my guy Tyler. But a special interview, one I am extremely grateful. I had the pleasure of I guess I had the pleasure of talking with. So let's kick it over to my guy Gary V. All right, well, this one doesn't need any introduction. I normally have some big, long introduction about, who they are and what they're doing. But, I sat here 10 years ago. We've got a post up. This is almost 10 years ago. It was before then I started watching your content. March 20th of 2017, I sat at a computer screen. I had 2 screens up. One was data entry and one was GaryVee's content. So to sit here now, 8 years late, almost 8 years, 8 years and 2 months to the day, and to have you on the pod, this is cool. So
I'm humbled, brother. Thank you.
I'm very, very honored that you are here in town for a cool event to partner with us on this. There's tons of great shops, and I know you're going to visit many of them, but to have you here and to chat for this is special. So first and foremost, thank you for being here. But obviously a lot to get into, a lot to talk about. VeeFriends dropped this week, and I'm just going to start right off the rip with that. You started this 4 years ago. What have you learned in 4 years about building a product that has gotten us to today?
It's funny. To your point, I started it 4 years ago. I'm 45 years old. So, and I've been doing business for 40 years at that point, and really, really genuinely doing it in a meaningful way for 25 years. So you're always learning stuff, but I don't like thing.
Yep.
Everything's not that everything's going according to plan, but I'm like trying to dig right now because I want to bring value to the audience. I've learned that the things I most believe in are true. Like good people around you, positivity, work ethic, these things matter. Experience. What I can definitely tell you I learned, and this is good for a lot of the hustler kids that are watching who are destined to be you and I, and in between and above and to the left and to the right. I definitely believe in the fact that when I was a whiz kid in my business, I was a 24-year-old kid running my dad's store for him, and had just completely exploded his business by betting the farm on something called the internet. And I have full page articles being written about me in New Jersey's premier newspaper, the Star Ledger, and then the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. This is like, it's happening fast. And I'm 23, 24, 25. But I've been thinking about it since I was 14, and I was studying the entire wine business. I went from Beckett to the Wine Spectator in high school. But it happened fast, and in the articles they're like whiz kid, son of the owner, whiz kid, and I really enjoyed being like this kid, and what I can tell that kid, which is what I can tell you, even you're a kid, and definitely knowing there's so many 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds that look up to you, that are listening, that look up to me and others, is I've learned through this 4-year process that experience and wisdom and gray hairs matter. Like, if I told you I've always navigated through business confidently, you know how they talk about in sports, like if you think you're too slow and you can't be at the top height, like, when you're like coaches yelling, you're thinking, you gotta go fast, right? I've always been that in business because I have intuition, and I do have a lot of experience even at 25 because I've been doing cards and selling and stuff since I was 10. The ease that I am navigating through building this IP is bananas. It is so easy and natural for me to think about, what am I going to do on Roblox? What am I going to do on animation? What am I going to do in comic book? This is my life. I've been studying eBay sold comps since 1997.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, actually, what year were you born?
92.
You were 5 when I was literally, actually, meaningfully spending hours every night looking at eBay sold comps to understand what Spice Girl dolls were worth so I could go to Toys R Us and buy them and flip them. Like, this is my life. VeeFriends is the culmination of my life journey, who I am as an entrepreneur, who I am as a human being and what I want to put into the world, and who I am as a collector and flipper and man. Like, you catch me at a really interesting time, Rye. You can maybe even see the emotions starting to kick in. Like, I'm going to do this. Like, actually. And so, like, back to the hobby of it all, like, Chrome's a monster. Chrome's Chrome, right? Like, like Chrome's Chrome. And so, like, this is forever Chrome 1. And, like, it's been crazy. Like, I pushed, to Top's credit, we both really wanted to price it well.
Yep.
So, like, the $99 SRP, that's well, right? What I didn't fully grasp, because I'm not paying, I like knowing what I know, but in the macro, I know everything, quote unquote, obviously not, but I feel good. In the micro, I don't know everything.
Okay.
I don't think I knew that secondary could move this. Like, I was worried about secondary getting to these prices by the national.
Yep.
Now I'm petrified
Yep.
of the prices at the national, while I'm calm because we signed such a long-term deal. And, like, for everyone who's listening who's going to jump on board, if it's price prohibitive already, like, 26 is coming. Like, I'm already fully deep in the 26 checklist.
Yep.
Like, it's not, it seems like a year is a long time, but like, especially as you get older, it's like tomorrow.
Yeah.
The other thing I am excited about is, this might be a little in parallel to this audience. In 93, I felt the junk wax era hitting. I could feel it. And I was at a card show in Highbridge, New Jersey with Brandon Warnicki. And I literally decided to sell all my cards. I'm like, I think something bad's, like, I'm like, this is not good. This isn't what I felt from 87 to 93. I could feel it in the show.
Okay.
Literally.
Yep.
And I decided to sell all my cards on 60 to 80 cents on the dollar. Jason, pay attention. It's one of my great moves in my career. And go fully into comics and cards and toys.
Okay.
And I crushed. And in that 93 to 99 era, I was really deep into Migos and Secret Wars and Superpowers by Kenner and Star Wars figure. I went deep. And it's like, like, you feel like life might be destiny? Like, it's like there was nothing indicating before that show that I was going to go into the Comic Con kind of toy nerd culture. Nothing. Other than I liked it when I was a kid. I liked Transformers. I liked wrestling. Maybe everything showed that I would, but nothing up to that point showed. And then eBay comes out and I can study.
Yeah.
Right? In 96, I can study, like, wait, He-Man toys are worth this much? There's a rare Skeletor. There's a Cobra Commander Mickey Mouse variant. Like, I know in a way that none of you understand that I know. And so that is coming in handy, because I'll tell you right now, I tell my inner circle right now, I'm like, man, everyone's like, this is this week. Everyone's all on Chrome. And the secret thing that's actually happening is I'm building out this direct-to-consumer comic book thing I'm doing right now, which is actually going to make people care about these characters because the stories, right? So I know that was a long-winded answer to your question. What did I learn? Nothing and everything.
I wouldn't expect any different of an answer. 3 days in.
Yeah.
Sit here before this event.
Yes.
How you feeling 3 days in about the product so far?
So happy. So happy. Like, my greatest strength is I don't care what anyone thinks, but I value what everyone thinks.
Yep.
So, I spend as much time reading the comments of people that are like, this is incredible. I underestimated GaryVee. This is a great product. As I am the people that are like, this is like bootleg $1 MetaZoo garbage, GaryVee. Like, I read it all.
Yep.
And I would say that 3 days in, it's better than I'd hoped for. And so that gives me motivation. Like, it's exciting. I love this hobby.
Yeah.
Like, I watch so much more of the content, the vlogs, the podcasts, the social media posts than people realize. As you know,
For sure.
I have talked about it less because I didn't like what was happening when I was talking about it, because people were making up things.
For sure.
And you really knew the truth because you were hanging with Lou and Tyler.
Yep.
The number one commitment I made when I got in 18, 19 was like, don't sell anything so it doesn't create any weirdness.
Yeah.
But then people, like, for example, I was most proud in my inner circles that I said don't buy Zion. Remember that? I was like very hot on not buying. I loved, by the way, on the record, I thought Zion was going to be a beast. But I thought the production of that prism was going to be so high, which it was.
Yep.
And I thought there was a chance that he would be injured.
Yep.
That I was like, I'm not going to go Zion, right?
Yep.
And then like I was at like some show and some kid came up to me. He's like, yo, are you buying and flipping all the Zion? I'm like, what? Like just like rumors started to like really bother me. I'm like, listen, I'm willing to like lose on the truth.
Yep.
And I'll be accountable for my mistakes.
Yep.
And I'm a human. I'll make plenty of them. But people fading you on rumors is not fun, and I have a reputation that I care about. So I was like, cool. You don't want me, posting about it, then I won't post about it.
Yeah, that's one thing I have definitely seen with you in time, especially knowing Tyler, Lou, and Jay, is like, early on, like 2018, like I think it was the Rich Eisen show.
Yeah.
You were on there. You're talking a lot about it, the sports card thing, and you were really boisterous about it. And then again, like I think you deserve a lot of credit for the attention that got brought to the market. It was the perfect timing. You talked about it then, but there was like this storm brewing. We had some big classes, some big names, and then you kind of like fizzled out on it in time, as it was like you were also, the online. It was also like, well, GaryVee's pumping and dumping, but I had known early that like you weren't selling anything. That was, Tyler and Lou had talked a lot about that like you were buying stuff, but actually there was no selling on it involved. And, I think you made another point in there where it's like, you talk about a lot about the content and how much you're in the hobby. I think that's one of the other things that, I would speak a lot to the audience about is like, I think there's a lot of cynicism around, again, there's people that love this, love you, love what you're doing, and then there's people like, again, that say those things online. But which
is fine.
But
and,
I think,
and I'm
I don't think
empathetic to it.
I don't think those people really understand, like, you're really in the hobby. You're really a part of it. This is a big piece of who you are now.
Yeah, and by the way, I don't have the audacity to think they should. Ryan, the most important thing in a man's life is humility. I don't have the audacity that Ricky Thompson, who flips vintage baseball cards and thinks I'm should spend an hour looking into me. That part. I also know that Ricky's wrong. So you can imagine how easy it is to sleep when you don't have the audacity to have expectations of others and you know the truth.
Yeah.
It makes it easy. So look, a lot of people here, they've seen me grind at the National. They see my face light up. They've seen me in card stores in the tri-state area with my son. Do you understand how many hours me and Rips, my beloved Adam Rips, have spent building my fictional character, like rookie card collection in the last 2 years? We've spent thousands of hours in the last 3 years trying to buy Scooby-Doo rookie cards and Yogi Bear and Betty Boop and Popeye, and that's because that became a thing. That's like the thing I think I'm most fascinated by right now.
Yep.
Like I think the hobby is in an incredible place.
That's it.
I really do. And I actually think it's in a better place than people realize.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Better.
You got it. You were big on it in 2018. You get into it. You made a brief appearance at the Cleveland National in 2018.
Yes. I was going to go incognito.
I knew this.
Rips texted his dad. He's like, find this man.
Yeah, we hadn't met at that point. And I was like, people said, Gary's here. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. 2019, it sucks because I missed.
No, it sucks because he wasn't there.
Yeah, it sucks because I didn't.
D-Rock didn't have the context.
That sucks. Gary was there. 2019, you go to Chicago.
By the way, at that Cleveland show, I bought a bunch of Porzingis rookies. I'm going to burn those. Today's game 3 as we record this. I'm very, very nervous about today. I'm very, very nervous about this Knicks Celtics season. Like the Knicks fans are way over the top.
Ty said the same thing.
I literally called AJ 2 days ago. I'm like, we're going to lose in 6, aren't we? I'm like nervous, but go ahead. Sorry. That was like a PSA for the game.
But you got into it. You were bullish on it then. How do you feel today, 7
I've been
years later?
bullish on it the whole way. Obviously, there was a needed price correction.
Sure.
But because the COVID, obviously I feel very good about what I did for the hobby and contributed to the hobby. The math is the math. The math is very clear. Everyone can go do max data analysis of Card Ladder very easily and see from the day I showed up to the day before COVID what happened in the market. And then obviously COVID created another event. And obviously that created some really speculative pricing.
Sure.
When we all went back to real life and had other things to do besides being stuck in our home and being fully 100% digital, the demand curve changed. The supply curve went up. The speculation energy went through the roof during that time. I've been saying this week, and I think it really captures how I feel. Jackson Dart is not going to be speculated in his upcoming product the way that Mac Jones was, and I think that's why I'm so confident in the hobby. Jackson Dart 1-of-1s are still going to be expensive, definitely by my standards of when like an $8 Greg Jeffries was $1 billion in the 80s. But it's not going to be the prices. And I think what has happened is this has never happened in the hobby, where it exploded, then had a real heavy price correction, and then got hot again, all in such a small window that every person listening has learned so much that they know how to navigate tomorrow. That is amazing. That's one.
Yep.
Two, content on content on content. All the breakers, content creators, it will be in the lexicon forever. In the 80s when this was exploding, and the 90s, one news program might do a 3-minute segment on cards are getting hot around the country. And that was it.
Yep.
The reason this won't ever be like the junk wax era and go to zero is the baseball. I don't know if the OGs tell you this. The baseball strike coinciding with the junk era was insanely bad for the hobby.
Really?
Yeah. Let me explain something most of you kids don't know, but the OGs definitely know. This is stuff I talked to with the 50-year-old plus crowd at the National. Baseball cards, you might have noticed this, Tyler. You might have noticed. I still call them baseball cards a lot. I slip up, right? I'll talk about a basketball card or something. I'll be like baseball card. Like,
yep.
Baseball was the entire market. I was buying 86, 87 Fleer rookies because I loved basketball for nothing. That was like the premium thing. Like everybody even then knew 86, 87 Fleer was legit. It was all pre-grading, so it was raw.
Yep.
But it was like $40 for an Elijah one. Like I was like, baseball was the whole market. Baseball cards even though 91, 2, 3, you started to see basketball and football come, you have no idea. It was 90% of the market. So now it's 90% of the market. We have an influx of junk wax era. There's no media to support the momentum. It's just happening organically. And now the baseball strike comes and everyone's like, baseball. People were dead. I especially because I was a Yankees fan and we were good that year. I hadn't won a World Series yet. The Expos it was terrible. Anyway, that was it. So that can't be replicated. The COVID thing, the momentum, the flippers, the sneaker flipper, but you have more collectors. This is why I actually think the non-sports thing is huge for the hobby. Let me paint you a story of a kid that's in line in your store right now waiting for us. He's 9 years old. He collects Pokemon, but his family are Browns fans, and he hasn't started collecting sports cards, maybe a little bit.
Yep.
He's going to be 13, and he's going to be all in Pokemon, and then that's going to lead him to start collecting sports cards because he's a Browns fan, or the Cavs are going to have the number 1 pick, and it's going to be the next guy. I don't think people in the sports collecting realm understand that the non-sports thing is gateway drugging for them. Mm-hmm. It's very big. And I actually see another phenomenon, which is why I've gone so deep into vintage fictional character cards. I've done Comic-Con twice now for VeeFriends.
Okay.
The price difference between Amazing Stories 15, Spider-Man's first appearance, and the 66 Marvel first Spider-Man rookie card, the price values are like, right? But I'm seeing something every Comic-Con. I also searched the bulletin boards, the social media content, and then the Chrome stuff with Marvel and Disney.
Yep.
I can feel the Comic-Con crew getting seduced into our world. And when they show up, this is going to get real good. Mm-hmm. I believe there's a huge influx of people that collect toys and comic books and Funko Pops that are about to get into cards that are non-sports, and then that will be huge. And then that will get them into sports, and that will be super huge. And so I'm always fascinated when people fade. Yep. Like, they're like, we don't do Pokemon or that's garbage. Like, this thing is doing good for you.
Yeah.
If you're speculating Prism football rookie quarterbacks, or now obviously Topps has all the like if you're going to be all about chrome refractor, super fractors of future NBA and NFL rookies, like you should be thrilled what Pokemon's doing. You should be rooting for me to pull off this miracle I'm trying to pull off, and everything else that's happening, Magic the Gathering in One Piece, and I don't get how people think life is or. This is all and.
Yeah.
I'm obviously doing my tour. I'm in some breaker stuff, popping in. Some of the hardest core Pokemon people are like, this. And I'm like, you don't get it. I'm like, I get it. Well, why they're like that, but I'm like, you don't get it. You want me to pull this off because that's good for your Pokemon collection. Because I'm going to onboard 1 million people in the next decade to VeeFriends, and they're going to leave and go. And that's what happened in NFTs. I onboarded everyone. They went to Bored Ape. They went to Pudgy Penguins. They went to Doodles. That makes me happy.
Yeah, sure.
Because I'm going to get mine. No matter what anybody thinks, if they think I'm the best or I'm the worst, neither party is going to stop me. I'm not going to get too high on my supply, and I'm going to stay humble on the people that say I'm the GOAT, and the people that say I f***ing suck, I'm going to stick it to the fucking face, regardless.
Sure. No, I get it. I mean,
that's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
I could die, and that would suck. I won't know the difference, but that would be bad. But other than that, if God willing, that doesn't happen, don't let me stick around for another 50 years and get to 99, because I am going to build this.
This and buy the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is probably my clearest path to the Jets. Do you know how much Pokemon's worth?
A boatload.
How much? Like, guess. I know you don't know. Guess.
$5 billion.
100.
Oh my gosh.
Pokemon is worth $100 billion. Wow. It's an incredibly valuable IP. And intellectual property in an AI world is going to go up in value even more because most things will be commoditized except the intellectual property, the copyrights, the trademarks. So, people can underestimate, but I really hope you have a box of Chrome in your house right now.
We definitely have some. Definitely have to rip some today at the event later. But
ChatGPT it.
ChatGPT, there we go. ChatGPT is a game changer, man. It's a game changer.
Yeah, as a side note, as a complete side note, every one of you needs to understand everything about AI because you're all probably very young in the scheme of life, under 70, and you've got a lot to do with it.
Yeah, ChatGPT is crazy. All right, looking it up now.
Yeah. I think it would be brand versus market, but nonetheless. Go ahead.
What is, you hinted at a little bit at it.
Yeah, it's going up by the nanosecond.
150 billion according to ChatGPT. So you're light by 50 billion, and I was
that might be the market though. Yes, market.
Insane.
Time revenue.
Yeah. So I mean, it's worth 100 billion.
You talked a little bit about it earlier, but as we sit here today, like 1 year, 5 year, 10 years,
yeah.
Like what's coming for you and for friends?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's coming for me is I'm gonna segue out of being I've been putting 15 hours a day into VaynerX the last 2 years. My marketing company. That's the other thing that's funny about me. People are like, he's a motivational speaker. I'm like, I'm the CEO of a 2,800 person global advertising agency that has completely rocked Madison Avenue in the ad world. That's doing $350 million a year in revenue. A year. That's what I do while I'm building VeeFriends, while I'm building the most aggressive, fastest growing sports agency in the world called Vayner Sports with my brother, Sauce Garden. Agent Aiden Hutchinson, Bo Bichette.
Braxton Miller was there. We have a post about this. Yes. We have a post about this from 2016.
Yes, we got Brax was one of our first big gets.
Yeah.
I love Brax, such a good dude. And so, look, the reality is that what's next is the following. 2026 Chrome's going to be 2026 Topps VeeFriends is going to be interesting. I'm trying to give you some scoops. I'm trying to think what I can give you that it's allowed. Here's what I can give you. Rips and I have meaningful meetings coming up with Topps to talk about 26.
Okay.
What do I mean by that? I mean like a broad Sapphire release. I'd be shocked if we don't have that. I'd be shocked if we don't have multi-packs. Like I already have the mega box insert that I want to create for the mega boxes. So I'd like to see that in 26. I'd like to see a bigger production run Topps. Can someone clip this and send it to Mahan and Ruben? I'd like to see a bigger production run because I don't want the run up on the price. I'm not trying to oversupply. Oversupply can only be oversupply when it's way over the demand.
Yep.
The demand is real. Like people don't I can't wait. Like I can't wait for people to understand how many people collect. Actually, I think 3 days in, the hobby is starting to realize how many people collect VFriends.
Yep.
The eBay comps are bananas, and I think people think it's like Rip said something to me about. I asked him about one of the Facebook groups. He's like, "Oh, the hobby's moved on," and I laughed. I'm like, "We're not going to allow them to move on." You know, I said that to myself. This is the first time Rips is hearing it. Anyway, so what's going to happen? I think we're going to make an incredible 26 product.
And that's where some of those other characters are going to.
Yeah, we have about 150 characters that are not in this set. A lot of the biggest ones. I've learned a lot about the inserts and what I want to do. I'd like to see if we expand into other tops, places. I take note, right? I walk into a hobby store and I see X-Men and Finest, right? And I'm like, like I'm thinking, right? I grew up obsessed with Stadium Club.
Great.
I know that Stadium Club has not been
the Pokemon Stadium.
Yeah, and ironically, VFriends has in the cartoons. If you have a kid under 9, please go to vfriends.com/cartoons. The whole premise of that cartoon on YouTube Kids is VFriends battle each other in the V Dome.
Yeah, Tyler was saying that. Like, they got rivalries, they got stories.
Yeah, if you look at the back of, if you're listening right now while you have some VFriends cards in front of you from Chrome, turn the back around. The back's very important. It has my original art, but it also says, and pay attention, we do nothing by accident. Competitive advantage. End quote. So that's exciting. We have a super stickers product, Ryan, that we carved out of our Top Steel that we make. That is very big in our world. Like, again, if somebody's listening right now with a computer or phone, which I assume they have, if you go to eBay right now and type in VFriends super stickers, they're a head nod.
At the National?
We did that. In fact, brother.
Crazy.
In fact, thank you, bro. Oh, I always love when you do this, bro. This is my favorite part of what you do. Go to completed items. So, and sold. The ones at the National have become very sought after. Somebody snagged a PSA mag. Rips, why do people buy it now with new stuff? Just list it at $1 and let the market cook for you. Anyway, this is new. We're on the cover of PSA magazine. It's hitting
Were
home.
those with the PSA magazine? Did you get those
So
in there?
literally, as we're sitting here right now, as you can see, they're all new listings. PSA magazine is hitting homes in the last 24 hours. The fictional one. And VFriends is the feature brand this month, which is huge for us. We wanted to hook those people up, so we put a pack of super stickers in there, as you're seeing on the screen right now. That is a very big deal in VFriends world, so I think a bunch of people that have randomly got this PSA magazine are getting stunned with what they're selling it for.
Yeah.
But we do that, and so we're thinking a lot about holding people over to 26 Chrome. We've always sold those direct to consumer on Fanatics Live and and whatnot.
Yep.
I am actually thinking about bringing it a little more broad to the market. You may hear from us in a couple months. So super stickers is going to be a big part, but then comics, if you want to put up that. Like comics, this is something I'm really excited. I think by the time 26 Chrome comes out, you're going to see a real demand for VFriends cards, because I think people are going to fall in love with these characters through the comic book storytelling. In fact, on the image you were just looking now, if you go back to it real quick, the top right, only 555 comics that was given to our NFT holders that hold Gift Goat. That was J. Scott Campbell cover, if you know that world, huge get for us. That comic's red hot. Number 2, which came in a blind bag that you're seeing on the screen to the left there, that's the origin story of the Fearless Ferry, which is one of our big characters. We've literally had people collecting VFriends for 4 years who have their favorite character locked in, have literally spent 4 years collecting, spending money, caring, maxing, and literally after reading the comic number 2 that just came out, are like, I like Fearless Ferry more now. That's called storytelling. That's called using your imagination. That's a big deal, and we're going to do a lot of that.
I love it. Well, obviously, I would love to sit here and chat with you forever, but we do have a trade day to get to. And
how much time do we have? 1 more minute. How much time do we have left? Because I want to talk about one thing.
6
minutes. Let's talk about thank you for that, but let's talk about general card hobby.
Okay.
I'm gonna reverse it almost like you're on my podcast. What is most interesting for you right now? Like a trend that is like on the cutting edge. Last 2-3 weeks, 7 weeks max trend that is capturing attention. Like for me, I'll jump in while I give you a second to think. I really like the case hit culture.
Yep.
I think that's been really fun. It makes sense too, right? Supply and demand. I think a lot of people that are getting very focused on case hits is very smart.
Yep.
Makes a lot of sense. I like that. Your thoughts?
The case hit one is definitely one, just because it's like these guys signed so many cards. Like Jaden Daniels doesn't have 50 signatures ever, right? So like as you increase that number, like the case hit thing has to matter.
I think that's
and
right.
We talked about that earlier, like with Panini losing the licensing, Topps taking over. Like the biggest case hit right now, Panini owns. Downtown's Color Blast Kabooms. Like Topps is going to have a time like introducing theirs to the market that are going to like compete at that level. Those are the three right now.
It's just to nerd out a little bit. It's why I'm obsessed with superfractors. Like they have real legacy.
Yep.
They look remarkably good.
Yeah.
They have incredible longevity of comps, and it's so purely Topps. And I think that one's just going to continue to gain momentum.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. I think, I was at the Topps conference, like we chatted there, like Topps' intro to basketball here soon is going to be, I think, a huge piece of the market come October. You're going to get one of the biggest basketball prospects in the last couple decades.
And I don't know if you know this because I'm in the business, the prospects behind Cooper are better than Cooper.
Oh, that's...
AJ DeBanza is an insanely big prospect. He would go one if he came out now over
Really?
Cooper.
Interesting.
And Peterson's right on his heat. Next year's class is a 1-2. That's going to really matter.
Well, I just think with the transition to Topps getting the basketball license with Cooper, the debut patch auto, like we would expect that's coming.
Yeah, the debut patch auto is a monster. That's such a good call.
Do you agree? I had this clip on here before. You couldn't make a better card of a player than a debut patch auto. It's the greatest card you could ever make of one player. Disagree or agree?
I think I agreed because you're blending a level of memorabilia. The cards look great, and it was uniquely Fanatics Inc. that could pull it off, right? Because they have the licensing. Like, it's a really good product.
I just don't think you could ever get a moment in time where you're like, this card is great. Or let's say they win a Super Bowl. They go to the Hall of Fame. The best card they would ever have is the debut patch from their first ever game, on card, hand signed, one of one.
I think
it's the greatest card that could ever exist.
It's a monster product. It's a monster. Yeah. I mean, literally the only reason I'm not like going there, I'm like, that didn't exist 5 years ago, and imagination matters, and somebody might come up with like, I don't know, like their skins. I don't know. I don't want to get canceled, but like there's going to be something. Like, but yes, it's insane.
Yeah, huge.
It's a great card.
That's one thing that's been on my mind. Again, Topps.
I'm curious what Prism's going to do with non-licensed product, right? Because Topps has been doing plenty of stuff that people have been buying. That's going to be really interesting to watch in reverse.
Yeah, some of those bigger brands.
I'm also expecting Prism to go heavy into non-sports. Panini.
Yeah,
that's their heritage, by the way.
They did that with like the Rolling Stones come out, Minecraft has come out. Like,
how's Minecraft done?
It's not done bad, Brian. Our team studied it. Like, there's a $9,000 Minecraft sale.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so there's a
Minecraft matters in culture.
There's a Minecraft sale that was like the $9,000. Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
9,000.
Click that.
Chicken jockey.
Yeah, chicken jockey, of course.
So, 2 questions as I wrap it up. I always ask you, how many games are the Jets going to win?
It's a little early to like do that prediction. I'm happy to come on in August and give you a real one. But as of this moment, I actually weirdly feel like we're going to be 9-8 and miss the playoffs again for the 15th straight year.
As much as I'm rooting for you to win in a lot of things, the Jets are definitely not one of them. I'm super sorry about that.
But there's so much Ohio State DNA.
I know, but that just feels dirty.
Respect.
Young entrepreneur out there, I have followed the content for so long. It changed the trajectory of my life. I'm very open about that. What would you say to somebody that's, 15, 16, 17 years old? Somebody that's like, hey, I want to do this. I want to be on that podcast one day. I want to talk to Gary one day. What advice would you give that person?
To realize why Ryan, I'm being dead serious. I'm giving you flowers right now. To realize why, first of all, kudos for listening to this and following Ryan, because he is definitely the blueprint of the kind of person you want to look up to. By understanding who to look up to and who not to look up to, and by understanding that the bigger Ryan gets, the more he'll start living the life I live, which is people are going to make up, people are going to say, it comes with the territory. When you have a gift, there's a curse that comes along with it. And envy and jealousy is an incredibly negative energy in our society. But what I would say to them is spend time to be thoughtful of who you try to pattern yourself after and really try to figure out what makes you tick. I walked into this office right now and I said, I wish I could live here. That reinforced what I'm feeling right now. I'm 49 years old and I'm trying to sell myself right now on living my full passion, which is to spend all my time on VeeFriends. I've got responsibilities, I got obligations, I got a ton of shit going on, so I've got to pattern it out. But I felt this with Wine Library. There was a day that came that I said, you know what? I can't build this for my dad anymore. I've done my due. I've paid my dues. I gave back to my parents, but I'm 34 and I've built a humongous business for my dad. I don't own it. I haven't been paid. I got to go on my own and build something for myself. And my brother's about to graduate college. This is the time, right? What you need to do is you need to know yourself. I'm in that same place right now. I'm putting this out publicly to put pressure on myself. I now know that VeeFriends has to be what I build. I just have a lot to still do with VaynerX, Vayner Sports, other things, Vayner Watt. It goes on and on. But I'm pressuring myself to go full time on this. If you follow your passion and what makes you tick and not where you think the money is. If you're a 15-year-old right now and be like, oh, it's crypto. Oh, it's cannabis. Oh, it's trading cards. Oh, it's whatever's going to pop next. If you're chasing the dollars, you're going to get caught. But if you do it about the thing you like, you'll work the 15 hours a day because you would do it for free. I would be Gary Vee doing exactly what I'm doing if it paid $40,000 a year because I like it too much. Oh, yeah. And so,
for sure,
that.
I love it. Yeah, it's best advice.
Let's go meet 1 million people.
Let's do it. And a special shout out to my guy Gary. Again, something I'll remember forever, and something I'm obviously super grateful that he came on the pod. Definitely appreciate that. But as we wrap it up today, we've got the latest launch. We've got the product dropping this week. What is coming out? A little bit of a lighter week. I know that's been crazy. Some of the episodes we've dropped lately have had some big time release weeks. We've got a couple things. I'll get to them in a second in terms of the bigger ones. But you've got Select Serie A Soccer, Prism Premier League Soccer Breakaway. You've got Prism EuroLeague Basketball and Panini Revolution Basketball. So a lot of Panini stuff. Couple I'm intrigued by from a, just again, more curiosity perspective. Panini NIL University of Connecticut Basketball Hobby. So this is something I saw. It looks like Panini is pre-selling these for about $100 a box. It says 2 autographs per box. Just based on the box and the photos you can see on Panini's website, Paige Beckers is going to be the chase on this. I was looking through some of the photos they had previewed. Sarah Strong is one of the best-selling, most talented women's basketball players in the country. I believe she was a freshman last year. She has cards in this. There's a picture. It says like student orientation. It's on Panini's website. I don't know if she has autos. I know she signed for Topps because she's in Bowman Chrome U this year. I know she has cards. I actually don't know if she signed. Brian, did she sign in this? That's a good question. I'll look that up later. I was like, I don't want to be wrong and say she did sign for Topps. No, I was wondering if she signed for Bowman Chrome, but it's again, I just want to be wrong on that. But I know she had cards in Bowman Chrome U. But she's on the preview sheet, non-autographs, obviously. She's on the preview sheet for this product. Beckers, they show a color blast. And then you've got a couple other people, Alex Caravan, I think is how it's pronounced. And then you've got a couple more legends. So you've got Jim Calhoun, Brianna Stewart, Diana Taurasi. So you've got a couple, older players there. So could be a fun mix. I like this idea. I like this concept. Panini used to make these college products back in the day because we used to have Ohio State ones. They had Michigan ones. You could pull Brady autos. They had Kentucky. It was like 2015-ish. Because like you could get like Devin Booker cards out of them. They were actually cool. Like I have some Brian Hartline game used patches from that set back in the day. So I love this idea as a college collector. Like give me Ohio State NIL exclusive products. I'm in. Sign me up for that. I would love to rip them. I would love to put them in my store. I would love to sell them. I would love everything about that. I can tell you that as I am a college diehard. So this idea, this concept, it definitely intrigues me. And being 15 minutes from one of the biggest college football universities in the country, I can tell you for sure Ohio State football product would be awesome. So I'm hoping that's kind of where this develops. we'll see. As Panini loses the licensing, you're already seeing some of these different things they're doing. You saw the Prism Rolling Stones mega boxes. Like, you see this exclusive college product. You see EuroLeague basketball. I'm assuming these are some of the things Panini is getting ahead on for when the licensing goes away. What are they going to be producing? This seems like a good, a good starting point. And again, I can tell you, I would love an Ohio State football product. The other thing dropping this week, again, seems to be an all Panini type week, is Select FOTL. Again, Dutch auction starts at $2,000 a box. Interesting when you go through the bonus. In the past, it used to be like a numbered orange pulsar to like 27. I forget. There were some odd numberings. And you got like a RPA number to like 27 or whatever. On the product details on Panini's website, on the Dutch auction, says look for one FOTL exclusive neon orange pulsar numbered to 35. So a little bit higher numbering, but it's pretty standard. Sounds about right. But it also says, and one first off the line exclusive neon orange pulsar prism numbered to 7, or a Tiger prism. And on the bottom of the sheet, it says look for FOTL, like it talks about the checklist. It says like select football franchise returns in 24 season with a massive 5-tiered 500 card base set that grows increasingly more rare. Like it says all that. It mentions XRC, Mystery Redemption Program, but it also mentions look for FOTL exclusive neon orange pulsars and Tiger Prism parallels. So does that FOTL exclusive apply to Tiger Prisms, or are we making a case hit Tiger Prism type parallel non-case hit like, more box like? Again, implying that they would be less rare than they might have been in the past, because now you can get them more commonly in Select FOTL, which you would imagine could imply that they could make more Select FOTL, because you're getting you could get an out of 25 or an out of 7 or the Tiger. So you're guaranteed the one out of 35. So there's, I'm assuming 500 base cards. Like this would be how we would understand how many would be made. You've got a 500 base card checklist, assuming you get a pulsar out of 35 of every one, and that's the only players it's the only cards you can get the 35 out of. It's like, it would be hard to calculate how much of it is actually made if it's like how many Tigers are there. So this seems like an interesting strategy here with, like, I would be curious to know, like, are those exclusive to FOTL? Because if not, like, I view it as like they're not probably going to be that rare. Like, if you can get them in here, you can pull them in hobby boxes in the past. Like, they've been pretty tough to pull, but now we're going to add them as like one of the chases in Select. I don't love it. Give me the patch auto. Give me the patch auto that's numbered to 15. Like, I realize the best 6 players are all Topps exclusive, but Penix, McCarthy, BTJ, Ladd, give me those guys as a patch auto. I just don't love the idea of a non-numbered parallel. That's something that's already been in Select as one of the chase cards, unless you tell me they're exclusive to FOTL and they are like rare, right? Implying that they are only available in Select FOTL would drastically, I would tell you that it would definitely add demand to that. If you're like, hey, the only place you can get these is this, it's like the manga with Prism Retail with basketball. You're like, hey, the only place you can get the Prism Retail, the only place you can get mangas in basketball is Prism Retail. Well, now Prism Retail's got a demand because you're pulling 3,000. Somebody pulled a Shea manga from our store and said he sold it for $3,000. So to pull a manga, out of that, like Steph Curry PSA 10 sold on eBay a month ago for $9,200. So that's a fun chase out of a retail product. I would love for the Tiger to be exclusive to Select FOTL, but I don't understand the wording enough if that is exclusive to that, or if it's exclusive to the number to 7, or potentially just a Tiger Prism. And I don't love it as an or there with potentially meaning there could be more Select FOTL. So going to be an interesting product to watch. I'm eager to watch that. Select FOTL is one of the better releases, has been one of the better releases in the past. It has tie-dyes and golds and field devils and zebras, and it's color wheel and RPAs, and it's got some cool stuff. I think Select Football you could argue, is the best football product. The XRCs are great. I love Select Football. I'm eager for it. I cannot wait for select football. So I'm hoping they're like, hey, these Tigers are rare. They're an FOTL. We'll see. But regardless, a big time release drops this week. Select FOTL, one of the more coveted football products of the year. So what do you guys think? Are they going to be rare? Is it just going to be is it going to be one of those inserts that was more rare and is not anymore? What do you guys think about that? But we'll see. Excited to get on here next week. We got a fun interview coming with Tyler. We also recorded when he was in town, and we'll talk about Shipshawana. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about what else is going on in the hobby. We'll see what Select FOTL sells out. Likely going to do some Q&A here soon. So if you have some questions, IG on Instagram at Cards and Content, all one word. Shoot us a DM on there. Make sure you guys follow. But for now, that is all I got. Peace, guys.